Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Oh, I closed it. Well, if you saw what I put over. Nope, you didn't. There's sound now broken. I got a good one today. I do. But there's no verdict. Okay? There's no verdict posted yet. He's not, um, he didn't give a verdict yet. But we can guess the verdict. Don't worry. We're going to know what the verdict is by the time we're done. And it's a good one. It really is. So,
Cindy Littleton Hetzer.
she is the white. No. Oh, it's complicated. It's really complicated. I don't know. I don't know if they're married. So I thought they were married. No, they were married, but she's married. So it's confusing. This is the husband ish. The inmate is the husband. Um, he's pro se. This is her lawyer, and I think this is a custody. She wants to change the custody agreement. So that's what we're here for. But there's so much more.
Cindy Littleton Hetzer.
May proceed.
Ms. Hetzer, of course, we are here today on your motion or petition to change custody of the minor children. First thing, you have an existing order that was entered in 2020, October 26th of 2020, regarding contract of settlement, parenting plan, and otherwise concerning your minor children?
Yes.
Okay. You understand that we're dealing with changes that occurred after that date.
Yes.
First of all, let's deal with educational issues. Have there been problems with educational issues since that date?
Yes.
Tell us what they are and why you believe that's a material change in circumstances.
Joseph would refuse to bring the boys for homeschool. He would take them to visit their grandmother instead of bringing them for homeschool. He would take them on vacation, call it an educational field trip or an educational trip, and refuse to bring them back for school. He would tell me that he was going to bring them back for school whenever he got permission to travel out of state, according to our custody order. And then as soon as the boys went into his custody, he would tell me that he's not going to bring them back for school. He would bring them an hour and a half late to school. He would claim that his work schedule wouldn't allow him to bring the boys to exchange for the school, but that if I wanted them to attend school, he could bring them to my driveway. He didn't have an employer at the time. He stated that our custody order does not require him to surrender his parenting time for the boys to attend homeschool. He stated that he gets to decide how our children spend their time with him during his custody time, so he would conflate homeschool time
Objection, Your
with
Honor.
having extra time with the
The
boys.
objection is what?
It's hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would
Hearsay.
Yes, sir.
She's talking about you. Is what my understanding of her response is. So that can't be hearsay.
Okay.
You may completely finish your answer.
He stated that he felt the need to take full control of his court-ordered parenting time due to the ordered custody schedule, which did not give him 50 time with the boys, and therefore he was going to take more time with them during homeschool time. He stated that it was not harmful to them to miss school. He stated that he was going to keep them out of school to, quote, make up his parenting time, which was really, he hadn't missed any parenting time. He just wanted them more time than he had them under the court-ordered plan. He used Georgia truancy laws, which apparently, in his understanding, allowed the boys to miss 5 days of school before there would be any consequences as a reasoning why he didn't have to bring them to school. And he claimed that it was his right as a parent to make a choice to keep them out of school for any reason he chooses during his parenting time. After I had asked him not to come onto my property anymore, he began to claim that I was not allowing him to be involved in their school anymore, even though I had provided all of the information regarding their schooling, including their schedules, their standardized testing, the intent to homeschool each year that I have to file with the state, my educational documents, any sort of paper that is generated in the homeschool. I scan every single page and I upload it. Usually no longer than monthly. I upload that and I send him an email saying that everything's been provided on the Google Drive that's shared with him, and I provide him the link again. Every single thing that the boys produce in their homeschool is on that Google Drive, and sometimes if there's no paper produced, if it's like a science experiment, I'll take a photograph of it, and I'll upload that as well to the Google Drive. He was claiming that he wasn't involved in their school because he wasn't allowed to come into my home. And that was his contention. That was his understanding of the order, was that he wasn't allowed to be involved in their schooling because I wouldn't allow him in the home to sit with them during school. He would suggest that I come to his home to have sex with him in order for him to bring them to school and them not be tardy. He suggested that I come to have sex with them if I wanted him to bring them to Wendy's for exchange at the proper exchange location according that was ordered in our custody order. This was after we had no longer had a relationship. This was in spring of last school year.
Spring of what year?
Of 2024, spring of 2024.
So spring of this year
Yes, sir.
is when y'all stopped being intimate with each other?
That's correct, February 2nd, and these suggestions that I come have sex with him and in exchange for the boys being able to come to homeschool was roughly a month after we had stopped being together.
All right, were you through with your answer?
Yes, sir.
To give the court some reference, tell me,
Objection, Your Honor. Ms.
She hadn't
Hester,
asked the question yet.
Well, it
Let
was-
me hear the question,
it was to her behavior before that, Your Honor.
Mr. Kelly. We're gonna have,
I don't know, Kelly. They have Frosties. Are you telling me a Frosty's not worth sex? Come on.
have us an understanding. And when I talk, nobody else talks. And he hasn't posed a question for you to object to yet. It's not, you don't get to object to her testimony.
Your Honor, I wasn't attempting to object to her testimony. I don't know what the proper procedure is.
You're representing yourself, Mr. Kelly, and I will treat you just as if you're a lawyer.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. I was trying to draw the court's attention to her
And
engagement.
I'm telling you that you are doing it improperly.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Ask your question, Mr. Harrington, again. I've lost what you had asked.
yes, sir. For the court to have a full appreciation of what you're doing with homeschooling and scheduling, tell the court how you have that structured.
At the end of last school year, until I got a job recently, school would start at 9 a.m. and it would go until 2 p.m. There was a half-hour lunch break, so that was allowing the 4.5 hours per day that's required, the equivalent to 4.5 hours per day that's required under Georgia law. The boys have structured curriculum. Would you like me to tell you what the curriculum is, or?
Briefly tell me what the curriculum is. I don't want to.
For example, for math, from K through 8th grade, they use a program called Math Mammoth. For language arts, they use a program called Brave Writer, which is separated into 1st and 2nd grade and then 3rd grade. That program has reading books and then language arts, phonics, grammar, spelling, capitalization. For social studies, they use Harcourt textbooks, and for science, they use a program called Supercharged Science, which is an online program that has teaching as well as it's heavy on experimental.
Do you keep up with the children's progress?
Yes, I do.
How do you do that?
They have regular testing as part of their curriculum. Different subjects have different forms of testing, like the math test is more rigorous than the social studies test, for example. And then they also have requirements to be standardized. They take standardized tests, Iowa assessments, at the end of 3rd, 6th, and 9th grades.
And how are they doing on those assessments?
Connor is the only one who's had to take the test yet because he's the only one who's reached third grade, and he's doing above average. Well, fine.
And these are standardized testing that they use in the educational system?
That's correct. It's the same Iowa assessments that the public schools use.
Okay. Now, how many days a week do you do this schedule?
It's 5 days a week is the amount of time, and I actually have more days built into my school year than are required.
Your password is coffee. Remember? You changed it. Hooked on phonics worked for me though, so
Minimally under Georgia state standards, so that if there is something that happens and they get sick or something, then they have at least the minimum requirements.
All right, now, you mentioned that you keep him informed. Tell the court exactly how you keep him informed of all these things.
There is a function for Google where you can create upload documents to a cloud, a drive on the cloud, and I've given him access to the drive. Everything is uploaded through the cloud, and I notify him via email every time that I've uploaded documents, and I provide him the link and ask if he has any problems or questions to let me know.
And has he done that?
He almost never responds to the emails about the uploads or anything really educationally, unless we break up, and then all of a sudden he's very interested in their education at that point.
Well, you've touched on it, and I was going to bring it up later, but since you've touched on it, court needs to have an appreciation of the relationship you had with him at the time this agreement was entered into, and that is, I'm going back to the date the consent agreement was entered into.
pay attention, guys. Pay attention.
Which is October 26, 2020, is when it was filed in the court. You had what would not normally be considered a customary relationship.
That's correct. My husband had an accident, and he sustained a spinal cord injury, and he became partially disabled. And as part of our marriage, we decided that I would find another partner, and Joseph was that other partner. And so we had an open relationship where Joseph and I were engaged romantically and sexually.
Okay.
Did you have children prior to these two children?
Yes, sir. I have 4 children with my husband, older.
So you have a total of 6 biological children.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Now,
And I was muted. This is Joseph. This is Joseph. I thought Joseph was the other guy at first. That's why I was confused. So this is her boyfriend, Joseph.
did he occupy the same household that y'all for a time?
Thank
For
you.
a few years,
Thank
yes,
you so much.
until he became physically violent with me, and then I made him leave.
Okay. Now,
Objection, Your Honor.
No, sir. You object to the question.
Okay, understand. I got it.
That's twice,
I've got
Mr.
it.
Kelly.
Thank you, sorry.
Not again.
Go, Judge, go.
in fairness, between 2020 and the date you filed your petition to modify custody and visitation, you had on-again, off-again relationships?
That's correct. It was cyclical. We would be together and then break up whenever usually whenever I didn't give him something that he wanted. And he would kind of decompensate and begin doing things that were disruptive to my life, to the children's life, to the rest of my family's life.
I have to ask, why would you go back to him if it was that disruptive to the children's lives?
Well, I believed him. I was part of an abusive relationship, and it's difficult to break free, but I finally did it, and here we are. And I was afraid because I knew, based on every time that we would break up, what he would do, I knew that it was going to get very, very ugly, very, very quickly, if I ever permanently ended the relationship.
And again, why keep going back?
And also, my children were very young, and I was afraid that if they went to him 50% of the time, that would not be good for them at all, to be with him 50% of the time. He doesn't have the ability to provide for them financially. He doesn't have the emotional maturity to stick with parenting them long-term. He doesn't take care of their medical needs in terms of taking them to appointments. Usually, it's almost always me who takes them to the appointments. It was an effort to protect my children.
Now, you understand you're asking the court to make a significant change. Are you prepared to end all personal relationships with Mr. Kelly?
Absolutely. There's been no personal relationship with Mr. Kelly since February 2nd of this year, 2022.
All right. Prior to that time, did the homeschooling work?
It worked as long as we were together. Anytime that we would break up, it would become turbulent, but as long as we were together, it was working.
All right. When you ended the relationship in February, because you didn't file this petition until April, when you ended the relationship in February, what directly happened to change the material conditions or for the custody and visitation arrangement?
That was when he began not bringing them to school, claiming that his parenting time and his custody time were more important than their education. He also disrupted their medical care. He would tell me that for example, he demanded that Oscar's speech therapy stop and or be moved to a different day. He demanded both of those things. He wanted.
Let's go back. You've got to tell the judge what was going on. Tell them about speech therapy and why it was taking place.
So yeah, Oscar has been in speech therapy for almost 2 years now. He had a regular recurring appointment each week on Wednesdays. I believe it was Wednesdays. It may have been a different day in the beginning. It's been almost 2 years now. And he wanted to change it to be during his custody time. Even though it didn't his current speech therapy appointment did not interfere with his school time, he wanted to change it to be during his custody time and to interfere with the school time as well. So he wanted to move the appointment to a time that interfered with Oscar's school time.
And according to your parenting plan and agreement, who has control of the medical issues?
Mr. Kelly does, and his reasoning for wanting to do all of these changes, to change their dentist, to stop chiropractic care, was that he had final decision-making authority.
Okay, did y'all try to discuss it?
Oh, yes. I mean, every time I tried to say, we should continue continuity of care, there's no reason to obstruct Oscar's school time with a medical appointment that currently, it doesn't need to be changed because right now he's making it to both appointments. But every time
The jail is making him wear orange.
he would say, well, he has
I
final
don't know, we'll
decision-making
see.
authority, and he was using it as a tool to control my behavior.
All right. Was the child attending speech therapy as a result of a diagnosis?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me directly how he interfered with that after February of 2024.
He demanded that Oscar stop speech therapy, and he tried to get me to agree to pay the entire cost of the speech therapy if I wanted him to continue speech therapy. That's all for speech therapy. He also demanded that they stop their chiropractic visits, the chiropractor.
Why were they having chiropractic visits?
They're just well visits. They weren't in response to any sort of diagnosis, but they are a covered service under our medical insurance.
So it wasn't costing anything.
I've always paid for the chiropractic care because he said he would refuse to pay for chiropractic care. And if I wanted to take them, I could do that under his final decision-making authority as long as I paid for everything. So it never costed him anything, only me.
All right. Now, other medical care. Have there been any problems with that?
Yes, in 2021, he was shouting expletives at me outside of the pediatrician's office at Dr. Bill's kids in front of the children. He shouted at me that I was an F face, that I should F off. The police were called, and we were fired from the practice at Dr. Bill's kids. Not just Connor and Oscar, but all of my children were fired from the practice.
When you say fired, can you explain what you mean by that?
Dr. Bill told me that he would no longer provide pediatric primary care services for my family.
Had y'all agreed on Dr. Bell's being the primary care physician?
Yes.
Who primarily took the children to the doctor?
Me.
Now, you gotta paint a picture for the court. When you say primarily you did it, how many times out of 10, who took the children to the doctor?
For their primary care physician, 10 times out of 10, I took them to the doctor. Joseph took Connor approximately 10 out of 30 visits, and I took him the other 20 during the year of speech therapy that he had. He also took Oscar one time to an orthopedic doctor whenever Oscar had broken his finger. Other than that, I don't recall any other times that he took either of the children to the doctor alone. Definitely, if he did, I was always there, but I don't recall any other time that he did.
Now, what exactly happened at Dr. Bill's office?
It was during COVID, and it was my custody time. Not the night before, but the night before that, the boys were with him. It was his custody period. And he called me that morning when they were supposed to come to exchange and said they were too sick for exchange. I asked him, or actually I called to make an appointment for the boys to go to the doctor because he said they were too sick to exchange. And he called and canceled that appointment and said that they didn't need to see a doctor. They were too sick to exchange, but they didn't need to go to the doctor. So when they came back into my custody several hours after custody exchange time, at that point I called and made an appointment for the next day. And we were outside of the office. It was COVID, so only one parent was allowed back, and he was insisting that he also be allowed. This was the office policy, not mine.
Hold on, guys. We have a problem. We have to fix it.
Oh, hi. What a nice surprise.
You're
What are
late.
you wearing?
Where are you?
I'm watching a call-in video, waiting for somebody to call me.
You're late. Get in chat.
I'm coming. Bye.
Bye. Fozzie wasn't here. Got it, guys. Don't worry, I'm on it.
Policy. But he also be allowed into the appointment. The staff at the office asked us to wait in the parking lot while they got somebody else in, since there was a disagreement and Joseph was trying to push his way into the appointment.
All right, did law enforcement wind up being called?
They were, yes.
Ultimately, did you lose the services of Dr. Bill's?
He's late.
Yes, we did.
Let me ask you, Marcus Fantasy 2.1. Is this a true and correct copy of the letter you received from Dr. Bill's office?
Yes, it is.
How do we mark it?
P1, Your Honor.
All right.
Submit P1, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Kelly?
No, sir.
It's admitted without objection.
I guess you told Mr. Kelly you were taking them to the doctor. What is your continuing habit? If you took the children 10 out of 10 times, how many of those times did you inform Mr. Kelly you were taking the children to the doctor?
Up until the protective order was passed and I was instructed differently by my attorney, I would always tell him prior to the appointments, and I always tell him now prior to the appointments as well. And I would send him an email after the visits with a synopsis of what happened, the receipt, any follow-up care that was needed, the recommendations, all of the findings from the appointments.
All right. Do you also have the child in some form of counseling or therapy?
Yes, they're currently both of the children are in counseling with Joey Smith at the Mental Wellness Center in Cochrane.
With who?
Joey Smith.
I'm going to
I
need
know
your
who
phone
it is,
number.
but you have to say it so the judge can understand it. What are they in therapy for?
They're in therapy for, first of all, Joseph had said that they were having problems and he wanted them to be in counseling, which I was very much in agreement with because of the turmoil of the relationship. And for example, sometimes the children will wake up in the middle of the night, or Oscar has had accidents overnight, wetting the bed a few times, and since the protective order was signed.
I don't think you told the court, you hadn't answered the question, what are they in counseling for?
I don't know that there's been a diagnosis, but just emotional distress.
And y'all were in agreement about that?
Yes, that's correct.
Did that change?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, did there come a time when you also got fired from that service?
A couple of, I believe it was November 5th, Joseph came to the appointment, and apparently I wasn't
Again,
involved.
anytime you give a date, it's a benefit to the court to know the year.
I'm sorry, November 5th.
Days help, but the year helps as well.
Yes, sir. November 5th, 2024, so just a short time ago. Joseph was communicating with the counselor, and the counselor called me after that appointment and told me that he was going to have to bow out as the counselor for Connor and Oscar. It was taking up too much of his time, and Joseph was demanding too much after each appointment. He wanted to be, for example, I guess, told what had happened and given a report, and he was afraid that it was going to turn litigious, and he didn't want to be involved anymore. About a few minutes later after that, I received an email from Joseph where he
Yes, Fozzie.
told me that Joey Smith had yelled at him and that Joey Smith wasn't cut out for this kind of work and that he didn't want him to see Joey Smith anymore. An hour after that, I received a text message from Joey Smith asking if we could continue care. He said his heart wouldn't allow him to abandon the boys. And then shortly after that, I got another email from Joseph saying he had changed his mind, he did want to continue with care with Joey Smith, and that he had lost his cool when he spoke to Joey Smith. So we were temporarily fired for an hour, but he is agreeing to see us again still.
And Mr. Kelly admitted that he,
Lost his cool, yes, sir.
okay. All right. Is counseling resumed?
Yes, it is.
Is it helpful to the children?
I feel it is, yes.
He hasn't tried to stop the counseling anymore, has he?
No.
All right. Tell the court specifically, you said you felt like you were threatened. You need to be very specific and tell the court how you felt like you were threatened. You may have used the word abuse, and I'm not trying to put a word in your mouth. You describe what's going on.
I feel that every time that things didn't go his way, he would do things to disrupt the schedule, my schedule, the boys' schedule, my family's schedule. And it was an attempt to coerce me and manipulate my behavior to agree with whatever it was that he wanted me to do. Whether that was to fulfill him sexually or to bring him the boys to have more parenting time with them.
Now, are you afraid of him?
Yes.
Tell me why, or tell the court why more accurately.
He owns a firearm. He kept it in our safe, actually, for many years before I realized that he was a felon. I learned that he was a felon in 2021. He was pulled over on a traffic violation, and I found out that he was a fugitive on felony charges, stalking charges out of California. He had never told me any of his
Wait a
criminal
minute, now,
background.
you say he had some felony charges in California?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not they're still pending?
He was extradited to California, Your Honor, and he pled the felony stalking to a misdemeanor violating a restraining order. He was convicted, it was my understanding, he was convicted of felony evading arrest, although since then,
Felony what?
evading arrest.
When was this?
2021, I believe, in August.
So this was after the children were born.
Yes, after the children were born and after our custody order was signed.
All right, let me make sure I appreciate. When did the incident that caused these charges take place? Do you know?
I believe it was approximately 2015, 2016. I don't have the exact year.
But you weren't aware of it until this all came up?
No, I'm sorry, that wasn't I met him in 2015, so it would have been closer to 2012 or 2013. That's correct. I was not aware of this until
Until,
2021.
okay.
Which is after the consent order was signed.
That's correct.
No, I'll just understand.
You know, all this was attached to the pleadings, but I have an extra copy if the court would like to have it.
No, I'm fine.
So as I was saying, he had a firearm, which he wasn't supposed to have, but I didn't know he wasn't supposed to have it. He stored it in our safe. He shot it, like recreationally, with my husband on one occasion, I believe. And this was before we knew that he was a felon. And he brought it and asked me to keep it, or he asked me to keep it for him in 2021 after he was extradited to California. I refused. He asked me to keep it for him in the beginning of 2023. He brought it to my home and showed it to me and asked me to keep it. I refused. And he said he would put it in Bill Cheek's office.
Now, specifically, you've talked about abuse, and you've talked about the trading of sexual favors for things. Physically, what has he done to make you afraid?
There was one occasion where he shoved me into a couch. He claimed that he was trying to get past me and that I was impeding his way, but there was another exit behind him to get out of the living room. He had been harassing my son, not his son, but my son. And I put a stop to it that morning, and it blew up into a big argument. And he claimed that I shoved him, which I did not shove him. And then he shoved me into a couch, and he told me that if I called the police, he was going to tell them that both of us were being physical.
When did this occur? That's always important.
This occurred in
for the court.
2019, and that was when I asked him to leave my home and no longer live in our home.
Okay, and that was prior to the consent agreement being signed.
That's correct.
Has there been something that made you concerned physically since the consent agreement was signed?
There's one occasion when I believe that he broke into my home and stole $5,000, approximately $5,000 out of my safe. And that happened over the summer
What summer?
of 2024, this year.
Before, that would have been after the pleadings were filed?
That's correct.
What else was in the house that made you believe he would be involved?
Well, first, the safe doesn't have a keypad. It has a key, and I had the primary key with me that morning, but there was another key that I had forgotten even existed. My husband didn't remember it existed either, and we kept it on top of a bookshelf. It was the same location that it had been in for years, ever since Joseph had lived in our home in 2019. And there was no forced entry into the safe, so somebody had used a key to get in. In addition, there was a custody notebook that was sitting open on the homeschool table, and the paper pages were like falling out of it. The rings had been opened, and it felt like a calling card to let me know that whoever was in there was interested in custody.
This custody note?
That's it, yes.
Had you left it opened and with the pages in disarray?
No, it had been closed, and it was on another desk in the corner of the room behind the computer.
Okay. What comments, if any, did Mr. Kelly make that made you believe that he had done this?
He didn't ever admit to doing it.
Did he deny doing it?
He did not deny doing it. He accused me of falsely accusing him of doing it.
All right. Was there an incident where he drove a car close to you?
Yes, there was.
Tell the court about it.
He had indicated that morning that he wanted to give me some jars, and he tried to get me to come to his house to get the jars. When he arrived, I went to the car because I expected, as he had said, that he was going to give me the jars. And I went around to the passenger seat, which is where usually if he had things to give me, oftentimes they were sitting in the passenger seat. I knocked on the window, and he picked up his camera, and so I backed away from him. I don't remember if I was walking backwards or forwards, but I came away from his car, and he drove towards me. It took about 10 seconds from the time he started driving until he passed me. My driveway curves towards the road, and I have photographs, still shots from the video that I took that indicate that my feet were on my driveway, that he was putting his hand all the way over to steer his car close to my body with his GoPro in his other hand. I have pictures from that video showing where my body was in relation to his car as he passed me. It was very close, and I was in the middle of my driveway.
All right. How many times has he threatened to have you arrested?
I
Since-
don't even know. Too
since
many.
December.
Too many I mean, I have no idea how many. Many times. Either to have me arrested or to bring me back to court or to make me spend a lot of money on lawyers.
Has he in fact accomplished that?
Yes, he has.
How has he accomplished that?
Do you want me to tell you how much I've spent on lawyers? Is that your question? I'm sorry.
You can.
More than $30,000 so far, and counting. Probably closer to 35 at this point.
Not on me.
No.
All right. Now, you have suggested that he stalks you. Tell me exactly what you mean by that and give the court specific examples of it, time and date if you can.
There was one incident in Walmart where I was shopping and he came in. He was in the grocery section, so I moved away. I moved to the clothing.
And the jar one didn't have a husband and a boyfriend. The jar one just had two parents fighting. This is just the boyfriend. This isn't even the husband.
Section to allow him to finish whatever he needed to do in the grocery section. And then I heard my son nearby walking. They were walking in an aisle close to me, so I moved away again and I went back to groceries. And when I looked up, there he was at the end of the aisle and he was staring at me.
Was he shopping?
Possibly. He did have a cart.
Is there anything in the cart?
I don't recall.
Did he follow you from aisle to aisle, or what made you feel like you were being stalked?
It was mostly the fact that his look at the end of the aisle whenever I saw him the third time in the store. I also, there were many times that he would show up, especially before around March or April. He would show up where I was, and he seemed to always, I would be driving down the road and he would be behind me, or I would drive down the road and then turn around to come back home, and he would pass me going the direction I had just been. I would see him coming towards my home as I was leaving it, and he claimed to the court, I believe, that I was tracking him with a tile device that he owned that was registered only to his phones, that I hadn't had access to his phones since approximately October, when he had gone to Spain, and he left a phone with me for some reason, for the children to call him, even though they called him from my phone. And we never used that phone. I put it away. And when he came back, I gave it back to him. But he claimed that I was stalking him with his own device and his own phone.
But he was in Spain.
He was in Spain during that time, yes, but I guess he was claiming that I was stalking him after that. I don't know. But I imagine that if that device was subpoenaed, it would show that it rode around in my vehicle or on my vehicle for several months. Even though I never knew of it, I never had possession of it knowingly.
Did he discuss these criminal charges in California with you?
Never until 2021.
And after you found out about it, did he discuss them with you then?
He told me that, yes, he told me that he was falsely accused by a woman who had it out for him, and that she said that he was stalking her, but he wasn't stalking her, and she was lying. And he showed me 1 or 2 recordings where they were talking on the phone, and I believed him. And I uploaded those recordings to a YouTube account. I believe that was instrumental in allowing him to plead the stalking charges down to a misdemeanor. And that was a mistake.
On whose part?
On my part.
Oh, okay. Are you trying to take him away from his children?
No, I'm trying to provide a stable environment for our kids to grow up.
What are you asking this court to do with regard to the visitation between the children and the father?
I'm asking for, at most, 2 weekends a month of visitation, and I'm asking for final decision-making authority with clearly defined requirements for discussion with Joseph about major
You
medical.
want what now?
I'm asking for legal and physical custody, including final decision-making authority for the children. And I would ask the court to define what it means to have a discussion with him prior to making a decision, because what would happen is I would ask for his input on something, baptism, education, whatever the medical things were that were happening. And instead of giving an answer, he would obfuscate, he would accuse me of things, he would change the subject, and it would go back and forth for days and days and days. And then if I didn't do what he wanted me to do in the end, he would tell everyone, including the court, that I hadn't had a discussion with him.
Rubbish. You're very upset today. Watch your language.
Let me ask you this, ma'am. So the behavior that you have described in your various pleadings, you have described previously in court proceedings and what you have described today, in light of all that, you still desire for Mr. Kelly to have a relationship with these two boys and have unsupervised visitation.
If the court finds that it's best in their best interest to have supervised visitation, that would be better. But I don't want to overstep.
Virginal.
It's according
I
to the
want
court.
to know what I'm asking you, based on everything you're aware of, you still don't have issues with him having basically normal visitation with these boys?
No, sir. The filing was for him to have no custody rights at all. So I would prefer that as minimal as possible a visitation, but a maximum of 2 weekends a month.
Specifically, what conduct has he had with the children that gives you pause? Not so much with you, but with the children.
He's told the children that he's going to be arrested and it's my fault. He's told the children that I'm a liar and I've lied to them. He yells at me during their phone calls. He badgers them with questions during their phone calls, because he records every single call on his phone, so he's trying to get recordings. And he asks them questions, for example, trying to get Connor to admit that he didn't actually tell him that he was going to be arrested and that it was my fault, even though he did. I'm trying to get Oscar to admit, you want to see me more, right, Oscar? You want to see me more, instead of like, this is the time when I'm supposed to be able to speak with them on the telephone, and he's having these conversations with them and badgering them.
Are you asking the court to make some restrictions as to what verbal comments are made to the children about you and your family?
Yes,
What we would call disparaging comments?
yes, I think that's already in our custody order, but yeah, that would be enforced. No disparaging comments against me or my family.
Do you have any request of the court regarding these recordings of the children?
I don't think it's healthy for him to be recording everything that the children say to me. I think that they deserve to have private conversations with me the same as they have private conversations with him. Whenever they talk to him, they go into their bedroom and shut the door, or if they want to shut the door, or leave it open if they want to leave it open. But I don't require that. Sometimes he'll sit and hold the phone and refuse to give them the phone, or it'll be on speakerphone in the car, so everybody in the car hears what's been happening and what's been said, and the calls are 2 minutes, 5 minutes. But when he speaks to them, it's in private. It's in their room for 30 minutes, 15 minutes usually, but up to 30 minutes in the last month.
All right. Have you had problems with him at the church that you
Yes.
attend?
Yes, Joseph objected to even though he says that he wants them to be baptized, that he wants them to be raised in the Catholic Church, his actions are in opposition to what he says. He sent an email to the Diocese of Savannah complaining that Oscar's baptism wasn't valid and that they had done something wrong. He came to their education classes and entered the classroom even though he had been instructed not to do that, and he wouldn't be able to pass their background and their safety precaution certification to be able to do that, but he did it anyway. He was taking photographs, included other minor children in his personal photographs. He claimed that Oscar's teacher sent him into the hallway without proper sign-out procedures, and he sent an email both times for this and the baptism also. He sent an email to the diocese level, which is one step above the church.
And he sued them. Just so you know. We don't have that trial, but he sued them. He sued the Catholic Church. This is one of my favorite songs ever, ever, ever.
Claiming that they had put Oscar in danger And this contact led to extensive back and forth between him and the priest, which is probably what the emails that, I'm sorry, that
You guys are going to be so disappointed in me when you hear what happened about Elton John tonight at the bar. I mean, you guys are going to be really disappointed in me. Trivia tonight at the bar. The question was, in this, who, wait, who was he talking about when he said, electric boots and a mohair suit? Who is he talking about? And I know this song forward and back. I can sing every word of it, and I couldn't. I was sitting with a team, and we were trying so hard to remember this. Yeah. I mean, Benny and the Jets. It should have been immediate, and I couldn't. I got that question wrong tonight. I got that question wrong because I could not remember. So I know he sued the church, but I don't know what happened. I'm going to play this and see if I can find it real quick.
the church lawyer provided probably what's there. He also posted on the religious education St. Patrick owns and controls Google Classrooms for the students and their families, and he posted on that forum, which is potentially viewable by other students and their parents, detailed sexualized comments about our relationship and sexual history, and defamatory comments that I had been convicted of stalking him.
Have you been convicted of stalking?
No.
You have, under the plan that was done in 2020, control of religious activities.
I believe, I'm not sure, actually, I don't remember because we never exercised it. I thought that it was, both of us would have to agree before they would begin religious education or religious activities. That was changed with the protective order that came out this year.
All right, now, you don't dispute that he did have a right under the order to talk to the children at 7 o'clock every day.
Oh, that's correct, he does.
That caused a problem with their religious instruction.
I mean, it did. I would always pull them out to make the call every time they would come out of the religious education, and we would have them call Joseph. There was, after this extensive problems both times, that Joseph had sent emails up to the diocese, and he had shown up and done all the things that he had done. The priest told me that as security and safety for the children, they were no longer going to be permitted to leave the classroom. And so there was one instance where I did not take them out to make the call, and that was the instance that Joseph brought up, and that was why I was, the instance that was brought before when I was held in contempt a few weeks ago.
And you understand that that actually was not proper according to the court's order.
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Well, are you asking the court to change that aspect of the order so that he doesn't have to call them at 7 o'clock every day?
I am asking that some, whatever the court decides, some provision be made so that the children can continue religious education on Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:45.
I've talked to you about what standard telephone communication is in this circuit. You remember that?
I don't remember details, but I know that it was less than every day.
All right. Would you like it regulated to 2 days a week
I would, yes.
with a specific time?
Yes, or yeah, time frame, time range.
And you understand that you shouldn't be scheduling anything that's going to interfere with that without prior consultation with him.
Yes, I do.
There is a order in the TPO requiring y'all to do things in writing. Has that been adhered to?
No, not on his part. I believe that the protective order specifies that we communicate only via email. There have been, I believe, at least one occasion where he spoke to me directly. It was in Joey Smith's office. And, twice in Joey Smith's office that he spoke directly to me. He also has sent me text messages and claims that they're emails and tries to use, I don't know, some Georgia something that he found on LexisNexis to say that texts are emails. That since the protective order, that's what you're asking, yes.
Have you explored a couple of areas of the electronic services, like family planning and things of that nature?
Yes, there are, my understanding is that there are parenting apps where communication can occur through the app.
I got a verdict. Well, an ending.
And I would ask the court to order that to be the way that we communicate.
You understand there's cost involved with that?
I believe that there's one that has a free option, but yes, some of them are every option has to be paid for, and some of them, there's a free basic plan, I believe.
All right. I'm sure the court's familiar
Lori
with those types of
is
plans, but I can
looking
provide
hot
information
today.
for the court if
Yes,
you-
yes.
You provide it, and I'll consider it.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna take about a 10-minute recess. It's 11:15. We'll come back at 11:25.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor.
I'm the opposite. When I get irritated, I bring it way down. Okay. I have a verdict, by the way. An ending, I should say. So I just want you to notice something. So we're taking a break, right? And he goes offline. See, you can see up here, he's offline. Okay? I didn't do anything. I'm just keeping it there. And it automatically comes online when he puts it online. I want you to remember that later. That's not the mute button again. But why would she want two, though? I mean, isn't one husband just exhausting enough? Why would she choose to get two and have babies with both of them? What? Why would you do that? She seems like she's not psycho. I know, Beck. I understand what you're saying. But I don't get it. Yay, Michael. Come on, guys, hit that like button because Kelly is going to start yelling at everybody.
All right, Mr. Harrington.
Hit
you
like.
proceed.
It helps. Yeah, but look at him. I don't get it. Yeah. Exhausting. Jerry.
Incident at Dr. Bill's office, you said there was a police report generated?
Yes.
I do not doubt for a second that she's psycho. Let me show you why I say that. This is the this is the divorce, or not divorce, the custody. This is crazy, guys. Custody is usually like 10 lines long tops, okay? This is what they went through for the custody. Nope. I think I'm wrong. This is petition to change custody. So this has to be part 2. They must have done this before. It started in April. But there's some good things in here. So he has a lawyer at this point. When we're here, he has a lawyer. He fires his lawyer somewhere about, oh gosh, hold on, I'm looking. It's here somewhere. I know I'll see it when I see it. There's a restraining order. There's a guardian ad litem. So at least there's someone, at least there's an adult in this fight. Okay, something about an appeal. That might be with the Catholic Church. I'm not sure. I can't, okay, so I have to view these. They cost like $5 each. And there's 171 documents. So I'm not paying that. I'm just not. I did pay for the verdict though. So don't worry, we have that. What's not a verdict? All right, there's a protective order in place. The motion to recuse. So he wanted the judge to recuse himself. All right, he didn't want the protective order. Somewhere around here, he fires his lawyer. And now he's on his own. And he's still entering stuff. She must have claimed poverty here. Or he did, because if he has custody, he must have done that. This is just crazy. This whole thing is crazy. I've never seen one so long. I just bought this one. So we'll know what happens at the end of today.
Can I actually look at what I marked as claims exhibit 2? True and correct copy.
We haven't found out why he's in
First,
prison
can
yet.
she identify
Yes.
what it is? Then, is it a true and correct copy?
Yes, it's a police report from April of 2021, and it is from
April of 21?
2021, yes, sir. And it's from the incident outside of Dr. Bill's kids.
And you have it marked as P2?
No, to buy one piece of paper. The verdict.
Jack,
I do object.
It's not
Your
a video.
Honor. There's a supplement and amendment to this, an email between me and Daniel Cape following this incident that should be included with this.
so you're saying it's incomplete?
Yes, sir, I am.
I'm sure it also,
I don't have an email, I don't know anything about it.
does it reflect on the report that there was email?
No.
No problem with him introducing the email at the appropriate time.
The objection's overruled. P2's admitted over Mr. Kelly's objection.
I had an Uncle Joseph Kelly, but that's not him. Everybody loves seeing Lori. I hope your pain is better today, Lori. I know yesterday was a bad day.
That's all they gave me. I'll bring that.
Hi, J Fire.
Now, you mentioned an incident where he drove his car onto your ground.
Yes.
Again, is there a time frame for that?
I believe it was in February of 2024.
February of when?
2024,
Prior to the
on or
filing,
around February.
I apologize. You
Sorry.
always need to finish and don't let me overspeak you. Did you take photographs of that incident?
I took a video of that incident, and I have still shots from the video.
I want to hear the judge yell at him a little bit more. I want to hear him object.
You have 5 photographs.
This P3,
P4, Your Honor.
P4,
Something I'll have to introduce at another time.
what P3 is?
Something I'll introduce at another time.
I understand. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
There's 5 pictures.
5 photographs. 10 put together.
This is literally the grumpiest judge I know. Of course he's in Georgia.
Are you familiar with those photographs?
Yes.
Are those photographs you took?
These are photographs from the video that I took.
Are they true, correct, and accurate photographs of the incident at the time?
Yes.
Will you describe what those?
Well, let's let them get admitted before she testifies to them.
I object, Your Honor. They were not disclosed under discovery. 9/11/26B1, or I'm sorry, 37 requires that all, any evidence that she wants to use beyond testimony has to be provided to me prior to it being introduced. And she's done nothing to provide these to me prior to today. It constitutes an ambush, and it's a
Ambush.
violation of my due process rights to discovery.
These
And
were provided in
treason.
the original,
Hey,
excuse me.
I bet you she has them. I bet you she has them in there.
you don't speak.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harrington, you have a lawyer who's going to speak on your behalf. We understand each other, ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I do understand you.
Thank you, Judge. That was awesome.
Mr. Harrington.
Were in fact provided by Mr. Rockefeller, and we delivered some drive to the jail Friday. Don't know if he has access to anything to view that, but it was all on there.
J Fire, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. Like you can't eat anything? You have to be on IVs? No. That would be horrible. He did, and then he fired him.
All right. Court's going to overrule the objection. The photographs are admitted.
Now, would you describe what the photographs show?
The first photograph is showing Joseph Kelly driving on the grass next to my driveway. This was, it took about 10 seconds for the entire situation once he started to drive until he had passed me. The second photograph is as his front tire is approaching my body. You can see my feet on my driveway and not on the grass. The third photograph, you can see Joseph Kelly's left hand on the wheel, and it's pulling the wheel all the way to the right to move his vehicle towards my body. His right hand is holding his GoPro, and it shows how close his car was. His front passenger side handle is right next to my body. The third photograph, the fourth photograph, shows his car as it pulled into right in front of my body, and it's less than, I would say, a foot maybe away from my body.
Is your reflection also reflected in that photo?
No, I don't see, I don't think my reflection is reflected in it because I was taking a picture as the car was moving in front of me, not to the side of me.
I know. I saw you in the next live stream.
The next photograph, the fifth photograph, shows Joseph Kelly's car coming onto my driveway. It shows that I'm standing in the middle of my driveway and not on the grass in front of his vehicle.
Hi, Belle.
And then the last photograph is
Oh, it's eerie how similar this case is to Belle's life, guys.
just a picture of my driveway, and it shows how it curves towards the road, and that Joseph did indeed pull his car over in front of my body in order to get out of the property.
Usually it's 6 photographs. I had marked that as 5. Is it in fact 6?
Yes, there are 6.
Probably be allowed to amend.
This, I'll just mark it as 6. All 6 are admitted.
Bill, meet Fozzie at the end of his driveway and give him his jars back. No, you're not. Give him his jars back.
Have you had visits from defects of the police in this case?
Yes,
Why?
because Mr. Kelly made reports to DFACS that I was withholding medical care from my children, that my children were in danger from our swimming pool, that my husband was inappropriately touching my daughter. She was 16 at the time, but I don't even know what time period he alleges that the abuse took place, and that I was a witch, and that I was not giving the kids medicine. I was using essential oils to treat them instead of medicine. And I believe that he also reported that my dogs had mauled my children.
All right. Did your child almost drown?
No,
Did your dog maul the child?
no.
Did the dog scratch your child?
There was an under-the-skin bruise whenever the dog jumped up and his claws were on his face. He had reached down to take the toy, and the dog jumped, playing, and scratched his face. And then my other son had, like the size of a freckle, a wound, like a scab. It was not a mauling. He had been holding a water balloon, and the dog thought it was a ball and chomped down and popped the balloon in.
How long have you had the dog?
He, at that point, was around 5 months old, I believe. He was a puppy.
And was there any long-term repercussions of that?
No.
All right. What, if anything, did the Department of Family and Children Services do on these referrals?
My daughter went through a forensic interview. My husband was required to leave the home for 6 days and wasn't allowed to be there. Just all of a sudden, he had to leave. And they found that none of the allegations were credible.
Quit.
And it was an unfounded report.
Quit your job.
So is your husband allowed to be around the children now?
Yes,
And that would have been his own child?
yes.
Okay. And that child is how old?
She's 17 now.
Okay. Anything come of that?
I mean, nothing other than expense from having to have him out of the house and stress.
And when did that occur?
I believe it was in May. It was in the summer of 2024.
After you filed this petition?
Yes. He had been threatening for years that he would make a call to DFACS if I didn't do whatever it was that he wanted me to do at that time, including the specific allegations that he did make when he called in this year.
And when you say if you didn't do what he wanted at the time, what does that include?
Extra visitation with the kids, being in a relationship with him again.
And I hate to be blunt, but when you say in a relationship, you mean sexually?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your educational background.
I have a master's in chemical and biomolecular engineering from Tulane University and a Bachelor of Science in chemical engineering.
So she has 4 kids with her husband. She has 2 kids with her boyfriend. And they have to be younger than her husband's kids because her husband got in an accident and those parts don't work anymore. That's why she has a boyfriend. So these kids had to be like way before she met Joseph. So Joseph's kids have to be younger, but I don't know how old they are.
Do you feel that gives you the ability to take care of the at-home educational
Nope.
needs of your children?
It's not an affair. See, what happened was the husband got in an accident, doesn't work anymore, so they decided to have an open relationship where she can have this guy. And he lived with them for a while. This guy.
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell me about your husband. What education does he have?
He holds a PhD in chemical engineering. He also has a master's degree and 2 Bachelor of Science degrees.
A throuple. Yes, it
Assuming the
is.
court modifies visitation, tell me how you're going to take care of the children 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
We have,
That may be repetition between Monday and Friday.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last part of your question.
Well, let me just leave it. You tell the court how you're going to take care of the children 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I mean, I've pretty much been taking care of them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 8 months, but I have support of my husband, myself. We both have jobs. We have 6 children, so 4 others, and they're all older. My daughter is 17. She'll be 18 in a few months, so that'll be another adult in the house that can help us take care of the children. The kids are homeschooled as well, continuing to be homeschooled. I work out of the home, and depending on my work schedule, sometimes I'll have the children homeschool for 3 hours before I start. and then finish up. Also, I homeschool them on my lunch break, and then anything that needs to be finished up after I finish working. Or if I start early, then the schooling happens after I finish working. Also, there's schooling that they can do
What?
without me staring at them, like Connor can do his reading, and Oscar can copy his spelling words, and so there's things that they can do on their own as well.
The other children that are not related to Mr. Kelly, do they also have a homeschooling?
They do, and yeah.
What effect does Mr. Kelly withholding your joint children
Yeah, I don't know about
have
that
on the
yet.
education of the others in the household?
Well, I mean, sometimes I would have to spend an hour, 2 hours trying to chase down the kids, and so I wasn't there for homeschooling. There was one occasion where Joseph required that I drive 2 hours north in order to nurse our son. He was still nursing. He was at his mother's house, and he took him knowing that he was supposed to provide him for nursing, and he refused to do that. And so I had to take all the kids in the car and bring the homeschool that they could do to meet him up there. There was another instance where he was attempting to change their pediatrician to a pediatrician in Peachtree City, 2.5 hours away, even though we live here in Cochrane. And I had to take the children, I had to leave the children with the oldest child, my four children with the oldest child to do their homeschool that day without me there.
Fine. Do you currently have plans to move to Perry?
I do, yes.
Tell me about that, or tell the court about that.
We purchased a home in Perry, and it's got 6 bedrooms. So Connor and Oscar are going to share the biggest bedroom, and we're going to move there and try to find a more secure situation for our family.
Well, do any of the children have any health issues? And when I say any of them, I mean any of all 6. Primarily the 2 in question in court today, but
This is going to be a long list. What
Connor
do you
and
think?
Oscar both have been through speech therapy. Oscar's speech therapy is ongoing. Both of the children are in counseling, and one of my other minor children is also in counseling related specifically to Joseph Kelly and his the fear that of what Joseph may do.
has Joseph made any threats to you about taking the children?
Yes.
What ties to the area does he have?
To Cochrane, not much. He doesn't have a regular employer. Sometimes he'll do 1099 work for Bill Cheek, or at least he used to. He does have family 2 hours away, but he also has family in Italy.
Has he talked to you or told you he wants to take the children out of the country?
No, he's not specified that he would take them out of the country.
You have an objection to that?
As long as I know where they're going and that they're going to be coming back. No, that I don't.
Well, do you have an objection to being removed from the state of Georgia in that matter?
I mean, as long as I know where they're going and that he'll bring them back.
Okay. Your present plan requires both of you to notify the other before you remove the children. Is that something you'd want to keep in place?
Yes.
Are you concerned?
He's
are you
going to get up
concerned
soon
about
and
Mr.
ask her
Kelly's
questions.
financial wherewithal to care for the children?
Yes.
Why?
Well, as the court has recognized, he's indigent. He doesn't have much money or ability to make money. I've never, in the 10 years that I've known him to have an employer. He does jobs every once in a while for different people. He has a photography business where he's self-employed, but he barely scrapes by, and he's currently over $1,000 behind in child support and medical reimbursement support.
Are you
$1,000 behind now?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe it's around at that 1,017.
and that's a combination of.
When is the last time he's paid child support?
I would have to look at my notes. He gave me, he mailed me a postal check 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, but it didn't bring him up to current on the child support.
What's his monthly obligation?
It's $377 a
How
month.
much?
$377.
So he's basically 2.5 months behind.
There were some unreimbursed medical expenses as well.
That amount included the unreimbursed medical expenses, and I believe that he's like 1.5 months behind, or I don't remember exactly. I don't remember.
Are you concerned about his housing situation if the children are allowed to visit with him in his home?
Yes, my understanding is that he's moved out of the apartment complex where he even lived, and I haven't even been given the address where he's living now. I think he's living with his girlfriend, but I'm not positive about that. He told me he had to leave his apartment about a month ago or 6 weeks ago.
Did he tell you why?
No, he told me he was a vague situation. He said there was something wrong that was not his fault with the apartment.
He yelled at the
To
manager.
your knowledge, does he
Yep,
attend church?
I bet.
No,
We've glossed over it, but where do you attend church?
I attend at St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
Where do the children attend church?
St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
And again, is that just the two between you, or is that all six?
My entire family of 8 attends there, and we are all in religious education classes there as well.
You understand, in his pleadings, he has suggested that you have an aberrant religious belief?
Yes, more than 3 years ago, I held earth-based religious beliefs.
Have you abandoned that, or you still believe in that to a certain extent?
No, I've abandoned that. The past 2.5 years or so, well, probably 3 years ago was when I started praying the rosary every day as my primary spiritual practice. And I believe it was May of this year is when I started attending the Catholic Church, and I'm going to be confirmed in the spring as a Catholic.
Now, that's a little bit different than the Baptist. You got to go through some certain procedures to get there, don't you?
Yes, it's kind of a stepwise coming into fullness of the Catholic Church, especially for children. For an adult, it's different, but for a child, they have to go through each step and go to classes in order to achieve the next step.
Catechism classes and things of that nature.
Yes, sir.
The children have not, they're taking their classes, but they have not been rechristened or anything?
They were baptized in summer of this year.
Joe.
And currently, Connor and Oscar are kind of homeschool catechized because of the situation with the calls and my requirement for the 7 p.m. phone call. They're not able to attend at St. Patrick's Catholic Church, and there's no other church in the area, Catholic church in the area, where they can attend, where they're going to be in my custody time. It's always on the weekend, where half the time they're with him, and he's not firmly agreed to take them during his custody time.
Have you explained to him that you wanted the children to continue their religious education?
Yes, and I believe that he actually filed a motion with the court to that effect, that he wants them as well to continue religious education and change the call time on Wednesdays. I'm not sure. It was his motion, not mine, but
Did you attempt to get him to change that voluntarily without court action?
prior to the last hearing, I had a discussion where I asked him if he would be willing to have them call before or after the class, and he refused.
Yes, I think he has more custody rights than she does. He picks medical, he picks things like that, so I'm sure he picks religion.
Do you set the times of catechism class?
No,
You do set the times for the homeschooling and education.
yes,
But you do not set those extracurricular times.
correct.
As the children get older, are you concerned about interference with extracurricular activities?
With, as far as what interfering? I'm sorry.
Well, let's say Oscar wanted to play football or baseball, and they had practice that you didn't control.
Right, correct. Yes, I mean, if, continuing 7 p.m. phone call of every single day would hamper their ability to participate in other things. Yes,
You're not saying you want to prevent it entirely, you just want some latitude there?
that's correct, yes.
Have you provided him with your address?
Yes.
Of the proposed house in Perry?
I provided it, and my lawyer also provided it prior to that, although he pretended like he didn't know that we were moving.
And you have not moved yet,
That's correct,
but you did that more than 30 days ago?
yes.
Okay. Witnesses with you?
Cross-examination, Mr. Kelly.
Podium, sir?
You can stand at the table or you can come to the podium, whichever you prefer.
Thank you. I'll stand here. I don't, too much for me to have to try to move. So you testified that I stalked you at Walmart, and that was on April 8th?
I don't know the exact date.
And you reported that to the Cochran Police Department?
I did,
And that incident put you in fear for your safety?
among other things.
Yes? When did you report that incident to Cochran Police Department?
I don't know.
Does April 15th at 10:30 a.m. sound right?
Possibly. I don't have that information.
So 7 days later, you were so fearful for your life, it took you 7 days to report that stalking incident to law enforcement?
In the beginning, I wasn't sure how the process worked or who I should talk to about what.
What happened at 9:04 a.m. on April 15th?
I don't know.
Did you go to the post office and pick up a letter from me, a cease and desist letter?
I don't know if that was the date.
So why did you wait 7 days to report the incident?
Again,
Gonna let her, he's got her on cross-examination, I'm gonna let him ask.
Yes, sir.
again, I wasn't sure how the process worked, who I should talk to about what and when.
Did you file any other police reports before April 15th?
Had I filed other police reports? Yes.
Did you wait 7 days to file those police reports?
I don't recall when I filed them.
April 2nd, you filed one with Warner Robins Police Department. Did you wait 7 days to file that one?
I don't recall that report.
December 19th, you filed a police report with Bleckley County Sheriff's Department accusing me of videoing you having sex.
That's incorrect.
What did you report to Bleckley County on December 19th?
I reported that you told me that you had an audio recording device and that you had sent me a video of you removing that audio recording device from the curtain above the bed where we had planned to have sex that morning, but we did not have sex.
Did you wait 7 days to make that incident report?
I don't recall, but I don't think so, no.
You made it the same day, didn't you?
I don't recall, but I don't think so.
You provided some photos to the court. You took a video of that incident, didn't you?
Yes, I did,
Why didn't you present the video to the court?
because it was never my turn to be in charge of the cross-examination, and I'm sorry, the examination, the questioning, and I never had the opportunity to present it until today. I would have presented it at the first opportunity if I'd had it.
Me too.
Ask questions, Mr. Kelly, don't comment on her response.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say that one time, and that's all.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir. In November of 2023, did you go through my cell phone without my consent?
No,
In November of 2023, did you contact Kathy Sellum?
I did.
And how did you get Kathy's contact information and name?
I saw it on your phone, which was sitting open.
I'm sorry, you just said that you didn't go through my phone without my consent.
That's correct. It was sitting open, so
Did I give you my consent to go through my phone?
it was sitting open. You did not give me verbal consent to go through it.
Your Honor, she's not answering the question.
She's answered the question, and the court will determine how it's gonna factor that into this factual
Yes, sir.
situation, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, sir. So what was your,
Okay, the last thing I see from him, I just looked it up. I just looked more. In July, he was arrested for dating violence. It doesn't say domestic violence, it says dating violence. That's the last thing I see. So maybe he was out on, my only guess is, because I don't see a new charge, he was out on probation or bail or whatever and violated. I don't know.
objective in contacting Kathy Sellum?
It was to see if she knew that you and I were together whenever you would meet up with her, and to see what the intention of the meeting that you had planned with her in June of 2023, what the intention of that meeting was.
We were broken up in June of 2023, weren't we?
No,
All right, I have an exhibit that I'd like to mark as Defense Exhibit 1. It is
You
a,
can mark it. You don't have to get my permission to mark it. The issue's gonna be whether or not you can get it admitted into evidence.
Yeah, I'm
I
guessing
won't know
no.
that until you try.
We know. We already know.
please.
Smart, how?
I'm sorry, sir. Defendants Exhibit 1.
All right, D1, okay, all right. You may present it to the witness and see if she can identify it. You need to ask her if she can identify the document.
Do you remember seeing this document on May
No,
10th?
sir.
No.
The question is, can you identify that document?
Can you identify this document?
No.
Okay.
A swing and a miss.
So your ruling is it's not going in?
I had made a ruling.
Okay, I don't know.
She can't identify that document, so that document's not gonna be able to be admitted, through her. You may be able to admit it in some other form or fashion, Mr. Kelly, I don't know that.
Judge,
But-
watch it.
If she can't identify it, you can't go any further with her.
Understand. Thank you. Did you call Dodge County Sheriff's Department on me in 2021?
Yes, because you weren't providing the boys for exchange.
Of course she's lying. Yes.
Because I wasn't providing what for our exchange?
The boys at exchange
Boys.
time.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
We have a parenting agreement in place, correct?
Yes.
Would you say that we had a dispute over our parent, or the terms of our parenting agreement when you called Dodge County Sheriff's Department?
I called Dodge County Sheriff's Department to check on the children.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, Cindy, do we have,
You'll refer to her as Ms. Hetzel.
Ms. Hetzer? I asked you if we have, do we have a procedure in our parenting agreement for disputes?
Cage match.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Is there a provision in our parenting agreement for when we have disputes?
Laser tag.
I don't know.
I'd like to introduce Defense Exhibit 2.
What is it?
It is our parenting agreement.
Well, the court's gonna take judicial notice of the parenting plan in place. If you wanna show her a copy of it, let Mr. Harrington look at it and, make sure it is, and I'm not questioning your veracity, Mr. Kelly, but just make sure it is the proper or correct, parenting plan, and then you can show it to her and ask her whatever questions you want to. But the court's gonna take judicial notice of the parenting plan that's in place.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
That means you don't have to admit it as an exhibit.
Thank you.
But if you're gonna ask her questions about your copy of it, I ask that you show it to Mr. Harrington first, just for the sake of verification. I'm not questioning your veracity in any form or fashion. Just wanna make sure that we've got the correct one, that we're working off the correct one.
Thank you. I didn't understand judicial thank you.
Notice,
Thank you.
Notice. That's the third time I said it.
Oh, Judge, you ruined it. I was about to say how pleasant he was during that whole conversation. And then he had to nail him at the end. I love this judge.
Can I approach her and
You may.
If I can offer him a gem tip or something, they're loose pages, it may be better.
Well, we all are, so you might as well too.
And to expedite the matter, you may want to just point to where you're referring to, Mr. Kelly, so she doesn't have to thumb through it.
What do you mean by
The
expedite?
intent of the court to get through with this matter today.
And he does not.
sorry.
Tell us the page, please.
It is can I see what copy you have, sir?
Same one you just showed?
Yeah, but this is marked as exhibits from her filing. I don't know if it's the same. So it's right after, it's disagreements right here, section E of this, about 8 pages in, I think.
Okay. I'm there.
He's trying so hard. I kind of feel bad for him.
For the record, though, can you tell the court what page of the parenting plan we're talking about?
We're talking about the,
Or section or something so that the court can, go back and review it if the court doesn't immediately rule on this matter at the conclusion of this hearing.
And that happens all the time. The judge will ask half of a question and then leave this pause, this big pause. And people start talking, but he's not done yet. They just have to wait because he talks real slow. He has a while to get his stuff out. So then he yells at them for interrupting him.
we're going to go to the last page. Can I come back to this once I found the
No, so we're here and we're gonna go through with it, Mr. Kelly.
It's, it'll be the last page of the order, Mr. Harrington, where the judge's signature is at the top of the page.
All right. And the question to her is what?
What does it say that our disagreement should, how our
No, sir, I'm
disagreements?
capable of reading the document. So I'm taking
Georgia.
judicial notice of it. So you don't have to ask her to read it. You can just ask her questions about it, what her understanding was, et cetera.
Is it your understanding of this document, if we have a disagreement, you call law enforcement?
It says that we make a good faith effort to resolve the issues.
Does that include calling law enforcement?
If I'm concerned about the welfare of my children, yes, it does.
What does our parenting agreement say about custody time?
I'm not sure what that's kind of a broad question. Can you ask me a little bit more specifically?
If the children are sick, you cannot make up parenting time, and I can't make custody exchange, what does it say about make up parenting time for children
It
being?
says that the parenting time will be made up for whatever time is missed.
So the children were sick on this morning that you called law enforcement.
I'm not positive about that because you called and canceled their doctor's appointment. You claimed they were sick, but you canceled the doctor's appointment.
So I was texting you throughout the night that they were throwing up and that I was throwing up all night long.
No, I don't recall that.
What did the Dodge County Sheriff's Department say to you when you got out to my property?
Objection, that would be hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did the Dodge County Sheriff's Department take any enforcement action against me?
They did not take the children and give them to me, if that's your question.
How many times in the past 17 years have you made a doctor's appointment with Dr. Bill's office after your children were sick overnight and throwing up all night?
Your Honor, I would object going back 17 years. I think we've got
I'm
a,
gonna allow it. He's got her on cross-examination. I don't know how he's gonna tie it in, but it may very well relate to how she handles the sickness of these two children, Mr. And it very well could relate to how she treats them presently.
Yes, sir.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Yeah, how many times over the life of your motherhood had you taken the children to see Dr. Bill after they were up vomiting with fevers all night?
I don't recall. I don't know.
Why did you insist on taking the boys to Dr. Bill's to confirm that they were sick on this particular day?
Because if they're too sick to exchange, then they should see a doctor. If they're not sick enough to see a doctor, then they should be exchanged.
Was I telling you that I wasn't going to exchange them that morning?
Yes, you were.
What
You said you
specifically
weren't
did
going
I
to bring them.
state?
I don't recall your specific statements, but you didn't bring them to exchange.
Did I inform you that I wouldn't bring them to exchange?
Yes,
And why did I say I wasn't bringing them to exchange?
you said they were sick. But then you
Did
canceled
you
their
have
doctor's
reason to
appointment.
believe that they weren't sick?
The fact that you canceled their doctor's appointment made me believe that they weren't sick.
Did I make a
You
doctor's
have
appointment?
revenge. Quit begging.
No,
Who made the doctor's appointment?
I did.
And when did you make this doctor's appointment?
That morning,
Before or after you involved law enforcement?
before.
What did you hope the sheriff would do when they got there?
Make sure that the kids are okay. And if
You did?
if they need to come into my custody, that I don't know if they could do that or not, but
What reason did you believe to have that they weren't okay?
you had said that they were sick, but you canceled their doctor's appointment. So that's contradictory. And I was concerned for them.
Who had final decision-making over
You
medical?
did, and that was your reason for canceling a doctor's appointment for sick children, was that you had final decision-making authority.
Did you consult with me before making that doctor's appointment?
No, I did not. But you already knew that the kids were sick, so I'm not sure what consultation accomplished.
February 19th, you testified a little while.
What year, sir?
2024. You testified that I was bringing you some jars and that I attempted to hit you with my car.
What I've said repeatedly is that you drove your car near my body.
I drove my car near your body and you didn't walk towards my vehicle.
That's correct.
You did not walk towards my vehicle.
That's correct, as the
Okay.
photographs showed.
Question's been asked and answered, and ask it one time, Mr. Kelly. I know I don't look like the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I can hear.
Guys, are we sure this isn't the same couple? Are we sure? I'm not 100% sure right now. Are we? I mean, I don't remember the last case explaining a husband and boyfriends. So I think it's a different couple, right? I think it's a different couple. I do. But man, doesn't it sound the same? Yeah, but you would remember if there was a throuple, right? You would remember if... No, because it is a different couple. Because remember, they were getting a divorce. And they had to split the jars in the divorce agreement. These two were never married. So there was no divorce agreement. So it's a different person. It's a different couple. That's crazy.
I came by, did you approach me or did I approach you in your driveway?
When you were driving your car,
I parked my car. What happened on the 19th when I got there to pick up the boys? Describe what you saw when you came out of the driveway with the children.
I saw you parked not along the driveway, but perpendicular to the driveway, which you had never done that before. Your door was open, and we approached the vehicle. You had already that morning told me that you had jars to give me. You had tried to get me to come to your home to pick them up, and I refused to do that.
So I was parked in your driveway. How far away from you? How far away from your gate was I parked?
Maybe 30 feet.
She kept saying in the last one that her driveway goes around. Her driveway goes around. It is mason jars. So let's see if she says. It can't be the same people, though, because they weren't married. Nope.
And did I approach you or did you approach me that morning?
I walked to the vehicle to pick up the jars that you said you had for me.
You approached me. Did you, what was your objective in approaching me?
To pick up the jars that you said you had for me.
What was my response to your request for jars?
You didn't give a response.
Would you say I ignored you?
Yes.
Did I get back into my vehicle after you made that request?
I don't remember if you were in the vehicle or out of the vehicle.
Did I indicate to you in any way that I had jars for you in that moment when you asked me for the jars?
In that moment, no. But in the
Did I
text
motion to
messages.
this? I'm sorry, I didn't, were you finished?
No, in the text messages, just a few minutes before you indicated that you were going to give them to me.
Did I motion over to the passenger seat and say, they're over there?
No.
I gave you no indication whatsoever that I had jars for you in your driveway.
That's correct.
When I got into my car, what did you do?
I walked around to the passenger side,
And you began doing what?
and I knocked on your window asking if you were going to give me the jars.
Were you angry?
No.
Were you shouting?
No, I wasn't shouting.
You weren't banging on my window?
I was knocking on your window.
In your petition for a restraining order, you said you were unsure of what I was going to do. You were fearful of me.
I'm not sure which part you're talking about.
I'm talking about your petition for a restraining order when you describe this incident.
You haven't asked me a question. I'm not sure.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
I will
Yes, sir.
control this courtroom. I do not need your assistance.
Yes, sir.
And understand your mannerisms on the witness stand has a bearing on how I rule in this matter. Go ahead.
Can I refresh her memory with this? It's,
May?
it's the first page of her narrative in the TPO.
You already refresh your memory, but he's not giving her the entire document. I would prefer if he gave her the entire document.
Give her the entire document.
That's what it was intended, sir.
Hey, Mr. Harrington is saying that one page is not the entire document, Mr. Kelly. It's not that hard, Mr. Kelly. You need to move on. Please understand, I can restrict your cross-examination.
I am never going to Georgia, ever, ever. You will never see me in Georgia because no way do I ever want to be in front of this judge, ever, ever, ever. He could reduce me to tears in a matter of seconds and I don't cry. He's scaring me.
Being too time-consuming and not being productive. You understand?
Do I need to mark it as an exhibit?
No, sir.
In that narrative, you say that you're afraid of me and you don't know what I'm going to do.
I thought we were giving her that document for purpose of refreshing her memory, not to ask her questions of it.
Do I take
You
it?
ask her a question, if she says she can't recall or she can't answer the question, then you let her look at the document to make a determination of whether that refreshes her memory.
Yes, sir.
Catherine, I would explain it, but you are 19 and a half minutes behind, so you won't hear my explanation for another 20 minutes.
And if it does, then she can testify to her memory as being refreshed. The question.
In that, you said that you were afraid of me that morning.
Yes, I was.
I'm not
You
afraid
didn't
of
know what
you.
I was,
I'm afraid of the judge, but I'm not afraid of you. Hey, welcome back. You're here. How are you?
going to do.
I said that didn't know what you were going to do before you drove past me, and then I was afraid of you after you drove your car near my body.
How many exits are there from your property and from your driveway?
One,
When you left my vehicle, where did you go and stand?
I don't recall standing. I don't know for sure if I stood anywhere, but I walked backwards towards the gate. Again, it was about 10 seconds from the time that you started driving until you passed me.
Were you standing in the middle of your driveway?
I was in the middle of my driveway, yes.
And you began recording me with your cell phone.
That's correct.
Why didn't you retreat to your home?
That's a good question. I wish that I had, but again, it was 10 seconds and I didn't have time to really think about what was happening, which is what I meant when I said I didn't know what you were going to do.
And at no time. Sorry.
Mason jars are important, and they should be protected. They're critical in a house to have good mason jars, and they're not always easy to find.
Who would you say instigated that conflict between us that morning?
I would say you did.
And you were afraid of me
Yes.
when I started driving.
No.
Why did you try to prevent my exit from your property?
I didn't try to prevent your exit.
Were the children witnesses to this behavior?
Yes, they were in the car when you almost drove into my body.
Your Honor, I'd like to admit the thumb drive that we mentioned earlier, video of this incident.
You got to lay a foundation for it, Mr. Kelly.
Okay, I'd like to present Defense Exhibit 2, which is a video of the incident from my perspective.
I understand, but can this witness identify this video that you're talking about?
Yes, we'll show her video.
But you said you lived in Georgia. I don't even think that's not possible. You can't live in Georgia and not have any mason jars. That's like living in Texas and not owning a gun or a truck.
You have her video,
Yes, sir, I do.
Mr. Harrington? Any objection?
The chat.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. How you gonna mark it?
Defense 2,
All right, D2.
and I have it on a thumb drive that,
That's all that's on the thumb drive?
I believe it's only 2 videos, Your Honor.
I'm asking you, what else is on the thumb drive?
Both videos, my perspective and
All
her.
right, you can use her video, not both of them. And D2 is omitted solely as to her video.
Yes, sir, my purpose of the thumb drive is to give it to the reporter.
But I'm entitled to see it.
I know.
And I want you to understand, if there's 2 videos on it, the only video that's admitted by that thumb drive is the one that she took.
Yes, sir.
You
Fully
understand that?
Yes, sir. Fully understood.
All right. Now, how are you gonna play it for the court?
The court's computer, sir?
Screw that. Do you like pineapple? Don't listen to him. Listen to me. Do you like pineapples?
Is there a laptop on that podium?
There is not, Your Honor.
You mind if he used yours, Mr. Harrington? Could be a cord up there for you to.
Let me get him by the password.
D2 is admitted as to her video without objection. Is there not a hook up to the system there?
I guess the judge thought he was going to bring a computer from jail to play these videos. Hey, Simple, how are ya? Getting caught in the rain? Our Hawaiian pizza at my restaurant is our top seller of pizzas.
Is this her video?
The only video on there.
Oh, this
This
judge
is
is
the wrong
going.
video, Your Honor.
All right.
All right, I'll move on.
You can, unhook there, Mr. Harrington.
Yes, sir.
You were between me and the exit of your property. Yes?
I was on the driveway, and that was the only exit that was
Mr. Kelly, I understand you have her on cross-examination, and you're entitled to a thorough and sifting cross-examination of her, but I don't understand, you keep going back to this one incident, and how does this incident relate to the issue of the custody of your two children?
Because she lied about this incident and said that I tried to hit her with my car when I didn't do that.
I understand that's your contention. She contends otherwise, then it's a fact question for the court to determine whether you're right or she's right. I'll let you go on, but
Thank you.
you know, sometimes you can beat a horse to its death.
How do I get out of your property driving my vehicle if you're standing in your driveway?
If you had given me the chance without driving towards me, I would have moved. But I was afraid because you were driving towards me and I didn't have any time to figure out what to do or what was happening.
Did you call 911 to report that incident?
I did not, because you immediately said that you were going to tell them that I had moved in front of your car.
So I made you afraid for your life. I almost hit you with my vehicle, but you didn't call 911.
That's correct. I told you not to enter my property anymore and that the exchanges would have to go back to Wendy's, which was our ordered location, exchange location.
Did you call and make a report that I was surveilling you with a listening device to law enforcement as it was happening?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You called Warner Robins Police Department to report that I was using a listening device to eavesdrop on you while you were in your vehicle. Did you make that call to law enforcement in real time?
I called that, yes, that day. Mhm.
And that put you in fear for your life, and you immediately called law enforcement?
In fear for my life, not in the same way as having a vehicle drive towards my body, but I was concerned for the manipulation
Okay. Thank you.
and for the effect on the children who were in the car.
March 23rd to 25th, you testified about this weekend when I took the children to Florida. Do you recall that incident?
I believe I know what you're talking about.
Object to the form of the question, Your Honor, he does have her on cross-examination, but he's saying she testified to something, and I didn't elicit any of that.
Just, let's limit your question into facts, Mr. Kelly.
You testified that you given me consent to take the children out of state. And that I
Wait a
refused to.
minute now, are you asking her, did she?
Yes.
I allow that.
Did you testify to giving me permission to take the children out of state?
Yes.
And when did that occur?
When did what?
What
occur?
date did that occur?
I don't recall.
Does March 23rd through the 25th sound right?
For the trip date, is that your question?
Yes.
If you say that's true, I agree. I don't know the date.
Was there conflict between us that weekend?
No.
There was no conflict? You testified earlier that there was conflict, that I refused to bring the children home once I was in Florida.
That's correct.
So there was conflict that weekend.
You had told me you weren't going to bring them back, and I stated that I was in opposition to that.
So the nature of the conflict that we had that weekend was related to the children in homeschool.
To your going back on what you said you would do and bring them home for homeschool, correct?
What was your solution to that conflict?
I didn't have a solution to that conflict. You were in control.
What did you do on March 25th following that conflict?
I don't recall.
Did you contact Bill Cheek?
I did contact Bill Cheek. I don't know if that was the date.
And you were angry that I didn't bring the boys from homeschool on that Tuesday morning, the 24th. Is that correct?
I don't recall being angry. I recall being disappointed for them, concerned for their education.
And then the very next morning, you went to contact Bill Cheek and said I was stealing from him.
That's
Objection,
incorrect.
Not the proper form of a question, Your Honor.
I'm gonna allow it.
That's incorrect.
April 2nd, there was conflict between us on April 2nd, is that correct?
I don't recall.
Hi, Kiki.
Do you recall filing along, crossing the street? It's in front of you, Mrs. Hetzer. If you'd like to refresh your memory about the conflict on April 2nd. So there was conflict between us on April
Has
2nd?
she answered the previous question? Don't let her answer first, Mr. Kelly.
I don't recall the question. Could you repeat it, please?
Thank you, Donald.
Does this document refresh your memory as to whether or not there was conflict between us on April 2nd? Your petition for a restraining order?
Hey, girl, how are ya?
I remember what happened April 2nd. Was there conflict between us? I don't think I can answer that. Yes, no. There was no conflict between us.
What happened between us? I'm sorry, Your Honor. She's going to be called to rebut her for this testimony. Should she be excused?
A little late for that, Your Honor.
Well, it's my discretion.
Yes, sir.
She can be excused, but she'll be absent from the courtroom for the balance of this hearing,
Yes, sir.
unless Mr. Harrington agrees to let her back in. Ma'am, you're gonna have to step outside.
I don't know. I looked him up, and his last. So in July, I'm sorry, that's my bad. In July, Sarah Owens, a different woman, filed a dating. I mean, he was arrested for dating violence. So the sheriffs picked him up on July the 18th. And I don't see anything else past that. I doubt that he's still in jail from July. I don't think that he's in jail from July. I'm thinking maybe he violated his probation in some way, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. I know that he was picked up in July for dating violence.
What happened between us on April 2nd?
I was walking home from a walk, finishing my walk, and I saw you and Ruth and Connor and Oscar walking on the other side of the road.
And did we cross the road to get to you, or did you cross the road to get to us?
I crossed the road to come and hug Connor and Oscar.
What did you do as you passed us?
I didn't do anything as I passed you. As Ruth passed, I took a photograph of her because you had told me that she was going to be picking up the children for exchange, and I had never seen her in person. Wasn't sure I could recognize her.
Did you stop and introduce yourself?
No,
Did you say, "Hi, I'm Cindy's boy"?
absolutely not.
Why is it okay for you to take a picture of somebody, but it's not okay to introduce yourself?
I wasn't going to introduce myself.
How does that have anything to do with this court deciding custody, Mr. Kelly?
Because she aggressively got into Ruth's
Faker.
face.
Okay.
I didn't move from my position as she passed by. I didn't thrust my hand into her face. I held my camera up and took a
My
photograph.
question is it appropriate
You
to
ain't
take
Charlotte.
a picture of a stranger
love
but
Charlotte.
not introduce yourself under the premise that you wanted
You.
to know who she was in case
Are.
she picked up the children one day.
Yeah, you
told
did.
me that she was going to pick up the children. And is it appropriate? I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking a photograph of this person in public, as you've said several times.
Okay. Did you engage with either Ruth or myself in any way, besides thrusting your camera in her face?
As I've testified, I didn't thrust my camera in her face. Did I engage with you? No.
Did you have aggressive intentions, trying to intimidate Ruth?
No.
Then why
Look
didn't
at
you
what you're
introduce
doing,
yourself?
Fozzie. Get.
Well, because she's your girlfriend and
Get.
because, well, I didn't know for sure at that time who was your girlfriend, but she was with you, a woman who was with you. And as you've demonstrated since then, you're very, anytime that I speak to anybody, you accuse me of harassing them. And I've never spoken with Ruth for that specific purpose, because I don't want to be accused of harassment.
Was it your intention to make
Easy.
introducing yourself to her is harassment?
I don't think that anything that I've done is harassment, but you say otherwise, and
Oh my God, is he gonna cry, guys? Is he about to cry?
Was it your
Going to
intent?
another subject, I've heard all I need to hear about this encounter between, Ms. Hetzer and your, girlfriend.
And we know her name is Sarah because I just told you. Oh no, that's Ruth. She said it was Ruth. That means he's had 2 girlfriends since her. What?
You testified a lot about me interfering with homeschool, bringing the children late, that sort of thing. Had the children started homeschool late for any other reason?
rarely.
Rarely. Did we often have sex before homeschool?
Often, no.
Occasionally?
There have been times, yes.
That delayed homeschool?
I don't recall it delaying homeschool, no.
By 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
You testified that your husband had a spinal cord injury and that he agreed to let you find a new partner. How many other partners did you have before you met me?
One.
And that's besides your husband?
That's correct.
And did you have sexual intercourse with this man?
Yes.
Irrelevant.
No, respectfully, again, this predates the last order of the court.
A little
And I'm
late
not
there,
sure how
buddy.
it relates to the children.
Well, I think her morality is of interest to the court. And
There is no law, Judge, that says she has to be moral, Judge.
if she's had multiple partners, then
Good for her.
I'm interested in that.
Yes, sir.
Was this man a member of Bleckley County or law enforcement?
No, not Bleckley County law enforcement, no.
What was his job?
He was he was a
Every
police
day.
officer. I don't
Yes, he
remember
does.
where he was farther away.
How often did you meet with this man?
Maybe 5 times total. I don't have records on that.
Where did you meet with him?
We met away from our property in a hotel.
Never in a driveway in your minivan while your husband watched from the window?
That's correct. That's a lie that you have perpetuated.
That was me. Sorry. You got us confused.
You said that I kept them away from homeschool during my parenting days. Did I do any homeschool with the children on my parenting days?
I don't know.
Did I ever ask you for the curriculum, that I could follow your curriculum on my homeschool days?
Yes, and then that was in violation of the custody order, which specified that they would be homeschooled by me in my home.
You've been the primary person to take them to doctor's appointments, you testified previously. Was this by agreement, or was this by me being disinterested?
The second, you being disinterested.
We never discussed who was going to take the kids to the doctor?
I don't recall having a discussion. I would take care of the kids' medical needs.
You said 10 out of 10 times you took the kids to the doctors. How many of those times did I join you to those doctor's appointments?
Almost never, unless we were broken up and then suddenly you wanted to attend.
Chiropractic care. Is it medically necessary?
No, as I said, it's prophylactic.
You made a big deal that it was necessary, or that I would objected to it. Why is that?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
You testified that I interfered with their chiropractic care.
I believe it's beneficial, but medically necessary, no.
So I didn't interfere with their medical care in that instance.
It's a medical service that's covered under medical insurance. It's not a medically necessary service, but I believe that it's beneficial.
So I did not medically interfere with their medical care.
You interfered with their chiropractic care. I'm not sure how else I can answer that question.
You mentioned the Dr. Bill's kids incident.
Mark, what state do you live in?
Only one parent was allowed to go in. And we were disputing on who should go in. Is that correct?
The doctor's office set the one-parent requirement, and it was my custody time, and you wanted to attend, so there was a dispute, yes.
Who has final decision-making authority over
That is
medical care?
very sad.
You did at that time.
So, if you had gone in with Dr. Bill and some treatment was required, and we were not communicating well, wouldn't it have been pertinent for me to go in so that I could make the final decision-making?
I disagree. I think that since it was my custody time, I should have been the one to take them.
You testified that I gave you a firearm and or tried to get you to take a firearm from me in 2023. Do you have any evidence of that?
I don't have
But
any
we're going to
photograph
rely on
of
your
it.
word.
Testimony is evidence.
Yes, I've testified to that.
You testified that you previously tried to get me to modify the 7 p.m. phone call to facilitate the religious education class. Is that correct?
I asked you if you would be willing to receive a call before or after religious education.
Do you and I have the ability to modify the court's order?
I'm not sure. You always said that we did. I asked you.
Do you believe that we have the ability to modify the court's order without the court's permission?
And I don't know, and I would love to have clarification on that from the court, because I don't know. You always insisted that we did.
I petitioned this court and tried to include you in that petition. Do you recall that? You testified to it.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You testified that I filed a motion to the court asking him for clarification on changing the phone call time to help facilitate the 7 p.m. phone calls and religious education classes.
I believe, yes, that's true.
I can't answer that. She has 6 kids. 2 of them are his. 4 of them are her husband's, who was her husband before she met him and is currently her husband. I know that he has 2 kids with her, but I don't know if he has any other kids.
And I emailed you an enjoinder petition for that purpose so that you could file it with mine. Did you file that motion with the court?
This is our
No,
first
you're not
Oregon.
my lawyer, and I wasn't sure what it would do. I didn't have a lawyer at that time.
Do we have anybody else from Oregon? I don't think so. I think you're the first, Mark. Good job.
And I wasn't willing to take your word for it as to the best interests of anybody involved as to what I should do in that situation.
Did you read my email to the judge?
No, I don't
She's
think that
made an explanation of why she didn't do it. Let's move on, Mr. Kelly.
All right, there we go. Maybe you guys are
testified that
neighbors.
I told DFACS
That would be wicked cool. Maybe you live right beside each other.
that your husband was sexually assaulting your daughter.
did not use the word sexual assault. I don't know what words you used with DFACS, but they came to investigate.
You don't know what words I used? Is that what you said?
I don't know what words you used in the complaint that you made to DFACS.
Thank you. You testified to what words I used earlier.
I did not say sexual assault.
What did you say?
I believe I said inappropriately touching.
Did our son, Oscar, when he was 5 years old, jump into a swimming pool without a life jacket on?
Bye,
Yes, he
Betty.
did.
Who is in care? Does Oscar at 5 years old know how to swim?
No.
Who was in care of the child?
Max, my understanding, I wasn't there, is that Max was putting a life jacket on Connor when Oscar jumped in. Ash was in the pool and he immediately picked him up. There was no resuscitation or anything required. Just pulled him out of the pool and put his life jacket on. And after that, we changed the procedures about how we get the kids into the pool so that would not happen again.
So if Ash hadn't been in the pool, is your husband capable of getting to the pool fast enough?
I don't know where he was in relation to the pool, so I can't answer that question. But he's able to walk.
Here. I'm sorry.
He's able to walk.
Is he fast when he walks?
I mean, yeah, he walks at a normal speed.
Does he have a serious back injury that limits his mobility?
He did have a back injury.
Does he limp?
Maybe a little bit, I don't know.
Are you a liar?
No, I'm not.
You said that you're concerned about my ability to provide financial support.
That's correct.
When did you become concerned about this?
I've always been concerned about it.
Have I taken you and your family to vacations outside of the state?
You have used your money on entertainment instead of the things that are important.
I didn't pay child support?
You paid child support up until the protective order was filed, and then you started falling behind.
Did I maintain a household and feed my children?
You had a very low rent lease purchase agreement for a trailer that we owned, and you had an apartment after that you were able to keep payments on, yes.
Did you ever have any concerns that I wasn't feeding, clothing, housing, maintaining quality of care for my children?
Clothing, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Kelly, I'm somewhat confused. You've made a pauper's affidavit for this court saying that you have no income, you don't have any wealth. Are you contradicting that?
No, sir.
Well, what's the
We're
purpose?
talking about 3 to 6 years ago. When I'm working, I'm stable.
Okay.
My pauper's affidavit was, I haven't been able to mentally focus on anything since this whole thing started.
Okay.
You said you haven't been involved in the, I don't know what language your attorney used, but the non-Catholic, non-Christian religious beliefs for over 3 years. Is that correct?
It's been about 3 years, yeah.
What is the Way of the Rose?
It's an organization where people can call in and pray the rosary via Zoom or telephone.
Is it a Catholic organization?
No, it's not a
Is it a-
Catholic organization.
Is it a strictly Christian organization?
No, not necessarily. They don't associate with any religious group. They just provide an opportunity for people to pray the rosary.
Who did you pray to when you were participating in the Way of the Rose?
Mary, the Mother Mary.
Well, that question nailed it. He's gonna win now.
All right, I'd like to present Defense Exhibit 3.
Let Mr. Harrington look at it.
Judge Fleischer decided to shut down his stream. He didn't, not his stream. I'm so sorry. Oh gosh. I can't fix that because it's live. Judge Fleischer decided to shut down his chat, not his stream. His stream is fine. That's too late. I already said it.
You recognize this document?
No, I don't. From June of last year. If it's not been altered, which you have a history of doing, then it says that I posted it June of last year.
Did you post this to Facebook?
I do not.
No, sir,
recall
she is
posting it.
not gonna testify to this document unless she can identify it and you get it into the record.
Her statement was contradictory, Your Honor. She says she said unless I altered it. So either she.
Ma'am, can you identify that document?
No, sir, I cannot.
Well, what was your comment about unless it's been altered then, if you can't identify it?
It had my name at the top and the date of June of 2023.
Okay.
I don't even remember. He's asking all these stupid questions that have nothing to do with nothing about nothing.
Who is Santa Muerta?
I'm
Not associated with Judge Fleischer.
not sure. It's one
You're
of.
Catholic.
I'm sorry?
You're Catholic?
No, I'm not confirmed Catholic yet. I attend Catholic services and religious education.
On March 13th of this year, did you participate in a Zoom rosary call with a Judy Eagle woman?
Possibly, I don't recall. I don't know.
You don't know who the Santa Muerta is?
She's testified that she did not, Mr. Kelly. Let's go on to something else.
What is a sorrowful mysteries?
The sorrowful mysteries are one of the groups of mysteries. They break them into groups of 10 decades, which is one Our Father and 10 Hail Marys and Glory Be. The sorrowful mysteries are a set of mysteries that are prayed within the Catholic faith.
I'd like to mark this as Defense Exhibit 3.
You've already marked the previous exhibit as 3. This would be 4.
Sorry.
3 wasn't allowed. Or you didn't tender it.
Not interested. No, no more cats. I can't. I can't do any more cats. I can't. Yeah, we done passed that bridge a long, 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 long time ago.
Do you recognize this?
Denied again.
You wrote
Nope, nope,
this?
nope.
I believe that I did, yes.
You wish to tender the document?
Yes, sir.
Objection, Mr. Harrington?
May I vote out of the witness on one portion of it, Your Honor?
No, sir. It's her, she's identified it as her, she wrote it. So you can ask her something on redirect, but not voir dire as to the document.
She's identified it, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted without objection. Do you have some questions about the document, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Judge, hang on.
Is this a Catholic practice? The darkness novena?
The Rosary is a Catholic practice. They do 54 days of praying for one thing, and they call it a novena, and then they take 2 days off, and then 54 days.
I don't think that you answered my question. Is the darkness novena a Catholic practice?
No, that would be something that Way of the Rose does.
You previously testified that you haven't been involved in this group for 3 years.
That's not what I testified. I testified that I haven't been involved in earth-based religion in 3 years, but I have been praying the Rosary, and that is a rosary. That's from the Way of the Rose, which is the Rosary group that I've been praying with.
But
The document has been admitted if you'll give it to the court.
I would like 2 days off. Fozzie said no.
you testified that
Woohoo!
you had ample religious or adequate discussions with me about religious formation.
I don't recall testifying to that effect. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Did you have good faith and adequate discussions with me about religious formation?
I attempted to, yes, sir.
Do you feel that your religious beliefs have no bearing on our discussion?
No, and I've answered your questions regarding my religious beliefs as they pertain to the children.
Do you think that we should advocate, we should teach our children that women have a right to have an abortion?
As I answered you before, I'm going to teach my children Catholic doctrine on that point, which is not permissible for abortion.
Have you had abortions?
No, I have not.
Where was I when our children were baptized?
You were in custody at Bleckley County Jail.
And you scheduled this baptism while I was in custody?
It was scheduled while you were in custody. I didn't intentionally schedule it, so you couldn't be there. I don't control when you get arrested.
Why didn't you reschedule it when you found out I was in custody?
Because I had asked you previously for your input on baptism, and you refused to give me any input. You just spun and demanded that I answer your questions about religion, and you didn't give me any input, so I moved ahead in accordance with the protective order.
When did this discussion take place?
I don't have the dates right now in front of me.
June 29th, does that sound good?
No, I don't have the dates in front of me.
I do. Can I introduce this, Your Honor? People's or Defense Exhibit 5.
I can't decide that unless you try, Mr.
Sorry, okay. And this is quite extensive.
He's soaking wet because it's
You
raining.
have a copy there. It was in the discovery provided by The other attorney.
Mr. Pace?
Yes.
Just,
I have two cats named Keo in this house, and that's one of them. He's the only cat in the world that I am allergic to. And he's the one I keep closest to me whenever he's in the house. He likes to go outside a lot. But he's in every room I'm at when I'm in the house, when he's in the house.
the discovery that the documents that came from the church. Is that correct, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You know, I'll introduce it on mine when I testify.
Well, Mr. Kelly, is it something that you were a part of?
It's an email chain between her and I. She's just going to deny it's accurate.
Oh, okay, between you and her.
Yes, sir. It's our entire
All right, well,
relationship.
let's go on to something else.
Somebody give the judge a Snickers.
What am I on, number 5, Your Honor?
You mark that as 5.
That one was 5. I apologize. So we'll go to 6. This is also in that.
All judges eat Skittles. All of them.
You recognize this email?
Yes.
Should I give this to you, Your Honor? Or do you just want this? This is the duplicate copies of the Mr.
All I want is the exhibit if it hadn't been admitted into evidence. You hadn't asked for it to be admitted.
I'd like to admit this into evidence, Your Honor.
All right, and that's D6.
Yes, sir.
Any objection, Mr. Harrington?
No, the top, it has a heading on it. Is that a heading he added, or was it?
My understanding that these are documents that came from the church. If you wish to examine her about the document on direct, you can, Mr. Harrington.
I would like to hold it until I can examine her.
No, sir.
She's admitted she recognized it, Your Honor.
Submit it without objection.
It's almost done, guys.
Did you ever respond to that email, Cindy, Mrs. Hetzer?
I'm not sure. Was that email written to me? I'm not sure. If it wasn't written to me, I didn't respond.
If I had a nickel for every time I said that.
It was written to you.
We've already established it. I'm looking at the document. We don't need to go into all of that.
I'm sorry, she asked me.
Mr. Kelly, like I say, I ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I can read. This is a letter that you wrote to her.
Yes, sir.
Darn it, Fozzie, you're rubbing off on Kelly. Knock it off. That judge was born angry.
What did you tell me about Mike and Kim Brox?
I don't remember.
Did you tell me that they were acting as the children's godparents?
Yes, they were acting as the children's godparents, yes.
Did I ask you for clarification on that?
Yes, you did.
Did you What was the clarification that I was seeking from you?
I don't know what you were asking me. I don't know what's in your head. I thought I answered the question, but you continually said that I didn't.
I'm going to move on, Your Honor.
How much longer is your cross-examination going to be?
No, you're not, sir.
Mr. Kelly?
Am I going to have an opportunity to recall her?
Not really, no, sir.
Do the rules permit me to recall her?
Mr. Kelly, I'll rule on that when you recall. Ask for her to be recalled.
Okay.
Once again, I inquire as to how much longer you're gonna have her on cross-examination.
Asshole.
10 more minutes, Your Honor.
10 more minutes. How long is your redirect gonna be, Mr. Harrington?
15, maybe 20.
All right, we're gonna break for lunch. We'll be in recess until 1:45.
Okay. Remember a while ago?
1 o'clock. Gonna take 45 minutes for lunch.
I gotta wait for him to finish. Don't interrupt the judge.
See your husband, but you can't talk to him about anything he's been testified to. Okay, I'm just gonna go across the street and get something.
I can get up, but I'm scared I can't.
And you're doing fine. Now, I'm gonna ask you, to redirect.
Oh, he covered the microphone. He said, I'm going to ask you on redirect. And then he covered the microphone. Jerk. All right, I have to show you when he goes offline. Okay, the court reporter must do it. Okay, there. So, see it? It's like he's offline. Okay? Just like he was earlier. So when he comes back, it automatically goes, when he comes back online, when they press the button to go back online, the court automatically starts up again. Well, this was 2.5 hours in. I recorded for another 16 hours. And the judge never turned the stream back on. It's just not. Nothing. No stream. So, that's why I said we didn't have a verdict. However, it looks like I do have some documents about what's going to happen next. So he did have some kind of verdict. Not the verdict that we wanted, but they're going to have a hearing on December 16th. He ordered it yesterday. So that's right after court. The 16th day of December at 9 a.m. So we just have to wait a couple more days. And then we'll have another hearing. Bleckley County Jail, I don't know why he's in there. And I looked through all these documents. The reason why he's in jail is not in there. This is just certificate of service, motion to quash subpoena, and that's it. That's the police, or they're trying to get evidence from the police department. Cell phone. That's it. That's what we have so far. So we're going to have to wait a few more days to see what happens next. Because he didn't turn on his live stream again. I hate when they do that. But I didn't want to not play this at all because of that. We're good knowing that we'll know more in a couple more days. Who knows? Maybe she'll have another baby by then. You never know with her. Okay, I am going to do OJ today. Probably at 7. I'll take a tiny little break. 18 minutes, Fozzie. Leave me alone. And then I will get to the next one of OJ. Thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you so much for coming early and staying for 2 hours and 41 minutes. Thank you for all the new people that came. I really appreciate it. If you hit that like, I would really appreciate it. I probably should just do a 3-minute break, shouldn't I? I really don't have anything to do in 18 minutes. I'll just be sitting here watching shorts or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's a big deal. 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes and then I'll start an OJ stream. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, I got to put my outro back up.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late at night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Reading tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes there's a truth so true. With each stream she brings the light, turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray,